At the center of Salah celebration, of course, is the slaughter of a ram, symbolic of obedience to the Almighty Allah. But with the unprecedented surge in ram prices, this sacrificial rite may be a luxury for many. Smartpreneur surveyed the prices of ram in 2025 year on year and reported an 185% to 455% increase in the price of large rams, currently selling at 1 million naira. A medium-sized ram that in 2024 ranged from 180,000 naira to 350 naira now goes for 600,000 naira to 800,000 naira, and the smaller sized ram are now sold at 200,000 to 500,000 each, 100% to 400% increase compared to the price in 2024. So what happens when the economics no longer supports religious rights? We have Daniel Effah, Senior Business Development Manager, PUPRIME Africa, joining me now for the conversation. Good morning, Daniel.
Good morning, John. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. The obvious question, what are celebrations looking like at your end?
So I think I was just driving around this morning, and I think people just find a way to basically celebrate. Of course, not the usual what Sallah would be when we were growing up, but over the last couple of years, we've seen that. But of course, people are outside trying to going to mosques and just so it is. Yeah, of course, you see ram killings, one or two here and there, but people are just adapting basically. Yeah.
And as you have hinted at, times have changed. So give us a picture of just what has changed over the years with this celebration, especially when you consider inflation and the soaring prices. What are some of the drivers and the changes that are shaping how people change how they celebrate this holiday?
Okay, so I think one key thing that has changed for I think most businesses have seen the issues. Our consumption level has drastically reduced. What an average Nigerian would consume 10, 15 years ago in terms of dollar amount, you cannot even buy them with naira. Yes, that is the biggest issues that Nigerians are facing. And so when we get into festive periods like this, where it's usually informal economies, bigger economies, this is where most businesses get record sales. You get, in fact, you see turnovers. But what we've seen over the past couple of years is that our consumption level, because inflationary pressure is there, the currency instability is there, so everything factoring has really drastically reduced the potency of Nigerians being able to consume more. Remember that this, for example, one thing we should note is that Nigerian is almost 50% Muslim, 50% Christian, right? And unlike the other festive for Christians, which is Christmas, there is no symbolic approach to it. You can do it. You can eat whatever you want to eat.
Yeah.
But here there is a particular. The ram symbolizes whatever the celebration. The essence of the celebration is the fact that you need to actually kill a ram to get the blessings that the prophet enjoyed as a reward for obedience. So that would usually create that demand, right, for ram, for cows. So when you now begin to see the trend on how we've gone down the road in terms of consumption, and the businesses going down because of the low demand, it gives you an idea of a reflection of where the economy is at the moment, basically.
Right. I mean, it would be interesting to explore, but not on this show, how, religion responds to not celebrating with a ram. But let's stick to the economics of things. And, what alternatives, how are Muslim faithfuls and those who celebrate adapting? What are the methods they're adopting to observe the religious rites of this celebration?
I think that what we've seen is Nigerians are resilient. We've seen some level of adaptation in terms of, I think, more often than not now, we've started seeing people coming together as a community or a group of people. You kill a particular ram, you get a particular one, instead of instead of doing it like in the families we were always doing when we were growing up. I think now more people come together to actually do it get as a cluster, right? And of course not every, because of the way the religion is, in terms of the fact that you should not do something beyond your power. You shouldn't borrow to buy a ram. There's no blessing in it. So people are definitely not you don't have to if you don't have this if you don't have the means to. But if you must get by, and you don't have the funds, you can come together, and I think that has also seen a considerable demand consistency, right? But not at the level at which we would be expecting. But yeah, that is basically what we've seen.
So
how people have adapted. Yeah,
people are pulling funds together and buying a ram collectively to share amongst themselves. I even heard of people saving months in advance just to be able to meet up. Yeah.
Like I said, this is one of the most important symbols of Islam, right? This is one of the most important. So yes, people actually, it is a big achievement, just like traveling to the Holy Land. This is a big achievement for you as an individual to be able to, during Salah, kill a ram to symbolize the essence of the festive.
Right, indeed, it must symbolize the essence of the festival, as you have hinted. So, I mean, you've spoken about consumption levels, how they have dropped over the years, and you've spoken about the consumer side of things. How about the traders, those who trade in livestock? What effect has this reduced consumption had on them?
Okay, so yes, I think they are the most hit with this particular issue. So this is the thing. And I think this is key for people that in that sector to understand what's basically happening. Yeah, it is an informal sector in terms of you can't really get the accurate data on what is really happening, right? But we've seen in the last couple of years, for example, I think you showed the data earlier about what the prices were last year and what it is now, right? Yes, we understand that this period is that time where traders would usually inflate prices to be able to sell and recoup their funds and all. But I think the supply also has faced a big issue. I think because of the trade issues with ECOWAS, sanctions here and there, Chad, Niger, where those supplies will come from. Yet it is not coming as such, right? Because we've also seen dollar issue up and down. I think up until the last 9 months, we've seen some stability in the naira. It has always been fluctuating. So the risk for traders, talking about even for local supply, which is we've seen a lot of insecurity that's driven. So the instability, the macroeconomic issues, right, has really been a big challenge, right, for the traders. That's why if you take a survey across major sellers, you realize that even the quality of the rams are not as robust as it usually is, right? You probably get very skinny rams all over, and it is a function of what the overall state of that particular subsector. Livestock farming is no longer lucrative as it used to be because of, yes, demand plays a role, because the higher the demand in a particular, demand will spur supply, would find a way to get more supply around. But when the demand has dwindled over the years, that has also made the business difficult for the traders, and everybody just trying to just get over the line, stay above water. So it is a generic issue, but because of the what do you call it now, the seasonal nature of the business, right? Traders of this business over the years will always recoup their funds during this period, right? They can, by the time, in fact, off festive period, these rams that you're seeing 500k might go as low as 350, 300. But because of this period, yes, they do that just to be able to recoup. And that has always been a model that has worked for them over the years.
Yeah, I think we'll come more to the trends, right, of this market. So many things you've highlighted there, the supply disruptions, the high cost of feed, and so much more. We'll come to other trends on that after this break. right, Eid al-Adha, of course, it is the Muslim celebration today, and for most of the weekend up until Monday. It's a public holiday on Monday as well. Celebrations are ongoing across the state, but it may be a silent Salah. So, Muslim faithfuls are celebrating differently. We do have Daniel Effah joining us. He is a business development specialist, providing us some insight into how the livestock trade, consumer side of things, and of course the trade is faring. Thank you for staying with us, Daniel. All right. Yeah. So let's pick up with some of the trends in the market. We just had our reporter from Zamfara tell us that the markets are not as full or as occupied as they are maybe in places like Lagos. And there's this trend where traders do not record sales until after the celebration, until buyers wait up throughout the celebration and perhaps even buy on the final day or the day after. Give us an insight into this trend with the ram trade.
Okay, so it's usually it's a what do you call it? It's an insider trick where you don't want to days leading up to the celebration. You see prices will skyrocket, right? And people get the buyers, the rush hour, right? And you then see some people that would wait, right? Because there is belief that when the sellers are already counting, okay, this are already doing stock taking about the fact that okay, this might be the total number of what we have left. This is stock we've sold. You get then you chip in at the last minute and just negotiate a fair price. And I think that has worked over the years. Now even the sellers know that okay, there are people that will still come last minute, just before the Eid prayers, to come and quickly get even after some people. So it is usually a well-known tactics, right? In that space, and I think both buyers and sellers both understand that, particularly when it comes to the fact that for the sellers, you begin to now cut your losses. Okay, so what is the worst case scenario? How much can I sell this? And they sell. So we'll see a lot of that today. I think I've seen a couple. We'll still see a lot of that today. People will still get to buy, right? Maybe 10, 5, 10% below current market price. To still be able to celebrate the festive. Yes, well, of course, after prices would not normally crash. Right. However, this is where the catch is, because of the economic issues, right? Based on conversations I'm having, I've had in recent times, the prices are not even coming down, right? So there is more to it than just trying to inflate price just because of the festive. The sellers are citing a lot of factors, right? Including the fact that they don't have as much supply. So everybody, it is the cost of them acquiring those stock is on the high side also. So it is also playing a role in that was what I said earlier, that a lot of people are leaving the business because of that low patronage one, and also the high cost of even acquiring those livestock.
So because of constrained supply, we may not see prices crash even after the peak of the celebration.
Yes. There's a big possibility, yeah.
Interesting. Let's see how it pans out. But let's look at the overall impact on the economy and the sectors that stand to benefit from the festivities, even beyond the livestock trade.
Yeah, so I think it's festives, everybody's out, restaurants, bars, parks. It is transport. It is usually that time of the year where people would spend, right? Retail spendings would usually go on the high side. Retail businesses will actually do well. Even payments. It's a large ecosystem that has always stimulated demand, right? No matter what happens, Nigerians will still go out, still have a good time with family, with friends. So yes, that is a good pointer, right? So of course we don't have accurate data on whatever impacts, right, of festives on our spending, on GDP, on retail spending. But it is usually a time where people spend. Of course, we had data. We had people come up with data about what happened with 30 December in Lagos and all. But Sallah is somehow close, right, to that kind of spend, that kind of holiday, because people it is the Eid al-Kabir. People definitely hold it in high esteem, and the spendings are usually high. So it's a good time in terms of for what it symbolizes and the economic benefits it brings, to the country.
Indeed. I'm sure it doesn't quite compare to Christmas time, because Christmas time it combines with the end of year spending and all of that. So
Exactly.
All right. Now let's also take a look at involvement of the government in all of this, and perhaps some larger geopolitics. We did also have our reporter hint at some of the trade tensions. The animal dealers' exportation ban by authorities of Niger Republic. Can you give us a picture of how that is also impacting the trade, and perhaps how the government can intervene and more reforms that we need in that sector, so that all Muslim faithfuls can be a part of the celebration, fully conduct the rites of the celebration?
Yeah, so it's a very critical point, and that is that alone might be a very impactful conversation when it comes to the figures, right? And why am I saying this? Last year, I think Sallah was in June, July, I think, and food inflation was almost 40%, right? Inflation was around maybe 30-something%, right? Fast forward to this year, where we've had decline in inflationary pressures, right? Even the currency is more stable, but we are seeing 55%, 40% increase in livestock, in ram, in cows. That is pointing you to the fact that most of the supply has always been from Niger, from Chad, from Mali. That's because then Nigeria is a very large market for this product. So if there's a tension, right, and there is a ban, of course, we've seen the follow-up is ECOWAS sanctioned those countries because because of the takeover of government by the military, and that has rippled into different trade dispute issues and all. And now with the recent ban, this alone is playing a major role in what we are saying right now. So now, where the government comes in is the fact that we need to formalize the industry. I was just doing checking. I realized that, for example, I think yes, we know that consumer spending has drastically reduced. Yes, but formalizing the industry better, what it will do is that it gives the government an idea of where to push in reforms that can drive down the supply shocks, the inflationary pressures that comes from there when it shouldn't really exist, because we should be able to have adequate supply of livestock for Nigerians during this kind of festive period. Right. So if we can't do that, if we have to depend on these countries, then there has to be conversations. How do we begin to expand that industry? How do we begin to make it more formal? What we have is a largely informal sector that you see open grazing happening everywhere. This, as long as we don't have these issues, for example, with the poultry aspect of livestock, right? Why don't we have? Because then it is more formal. There is an association. You get an arrangement. So it is better. So that is basically what we also need to do here, so that something that is that pivotal to our culture, right? To our existence as people. Yeah. We need to deliberately. And that is where the Ministry of Agriculture has its work cut out here.
Yeah, so it needs to formalize the sector. As you have pointed out, almost 50% Muslim population in Nigeria. Thank you very much for the insight, Daniel Effah, Senior Business Development Manager, PUPRIME Africa, for joining me.